This is the Queen's Garden. It goes from here and still going. And look, ends here. Rainham, the starting point for everything. Oh, little did I know, this quietly quaint little town was the focus point of my life. I was born in Dagenham and brought up in my grandparents' house with all my amazing, clever and talented aunts. My primary school was just a walk away, and so was my secondary school. Everything was close by, come to think of it, and everyone knew who each other was. As a child, I used to force Mum to wake me up at 4 in the morning every Sunday to get ready for the markets. And my parents had a stall selling men's clothing at big sizes, and I used to go just to have fun. The van would be parked in our back garden, the air crisp and Rainham still. Everyone tucked away in their homes, fast asleep, warm, while I cuddled up under Mum's arms, the heat blasting in my face and Dad driving in silence. It was the best feeling, leaving the ghostly town in the darkness to a completely new place. But also getting the reassurance that I'll be coming back home when it's light, colours back into the historical buildings and back into my comfort place. When I was at the markets, my role was to stand by a rail filled with t-shirts and vest tops, extra large sizes, shouting, 2 for a £5. I guess this is where my selling experience came from and helped me in the future. Not knowing who I was or where I was going in the world, but indirectly learning a lot of important life skills along the way. As time went on, I became older and wiser. Started working in the big city of London. Every day I used to walk to the station with a variety of roles I had in my life. I'd walk in heels, trainers, flip-flops. I began my modelling career at the age of 15 with my first show in London. London, the hustle and bustle of fast trains, fast people, fast everything really. When people asked me where I was from, I would say London, Essex, but I only realised in my early 20s that London and Rainham, Essex were two completely different places. I was glad. I was glad I had the experience of going into London Bridge for work, Oxford Street for Selfridges, O2 for concerts, and Holborn for comedy clubs. But then I had Rainham, where everything slowed down and was stripped back, and I was surrounded by my family for comfort, safety, and love. I walked the same 3-minute journey from my house to Rainham Station for years, past a small little post office, Royal Mail office, and then this interestingly placed brick wall. I focused less on my footsteps, but more on the wall, which carried on going past the station and into the village. I wondered what was behind the wall. I remembered my mum's voice saying, "It's the Queen's Garden." I made up my own story of what was going on behind the wall, but I'd never been inside. Until one day, Mum came home and was preparing to go to a summer fair in Rainham. There were arts and crafts stalls, toys on the tables, hot steamy food being served. I was so close to home, yet felt as though I was far, in a completely new destination. I was more intrigued by the garden itself and wanted to come back alone. So I did. It was cloudy this time, but still, I entered in the front of the main gates, peering at the magnificent building of Rainham Hall. I'd once read in the local newspaper that a friendly ghost lived in the house, and therefore I was scared, yet eager to see him as I walked past into the main garden. I also peered over to the other side and saw a lovely wooden cafe with glass windows and black antique chairs sitting outside. As I ran into the garden, I skipped my way down to where I had first entered before with my mum and sisters, following the footpath, steep steps and entering onto a huge green stage. I was alone. Looking up into the sky, I reached my arms out and twirled around. My home, my escape, my magical garden.
My alarm clock rings, but do I move? Nah. I have found the perfect solution for my constant lateness. Cut across the playing field, duck down underneath the headmaster's window, in through the fire escape, and burst into my form room, sprouting so much convincing bullshit that my teacher just waves me through and off I trot to maths. Joy, Jesus, this man is dull. I sit, picking my black nail varnish and reapplying Heather Shimmer lipstick when I hear, Gemma? Gemma? Since you're paying so much attention, what is A? See, I've always had this ability to know exactly what is going on around me, to listen and just get it, to sit there playing a role, pretending, even when I'm making sure I look my best. They can't start on you when you act cool and look hot, can they? Can they? The nerd inside of me pushes forward, kicking and screaming, and without thinking, I say, "It's 24, sir." He stops, raises an eyebrow. Lucky guess, sorta. No, sir. I don't like his tone. It's 24. As I stare at him defiantly, the rest of the class don't know whether to hate me for always knowing the answers or cheer me on for being a petulant prick. But either way, this is exactly where I like to be, where no one knows how to judge me. A little limbo land I made for myself, never quite belonging, safe, pretending. The bell rings and out I strut to the playground. The playground. The place where no one is safe. My strut falters and I'm unsteady on my feet. Tucked in corners, whispering in shadows, they wait. Ready to dim the bright ones, hush the loud and make ugly pretty. As I turn a corner, I see them and something starts to rise up from my tummy, something like I've been trying to push it away for such a long time, like this hot. It's like I'm sweating from the inside out and they stare. And as they stare, I do everything I can to push away the hot and the breathing and the shaking, but I can't. And it's funny what you remember and what you don't, innit? Apart from school, all I remember about Rainham is getting pissed and waiting to leave, to escape. And I did leave. And my God, it was the best 3 years of my life. At drama school, I felt like I had the world at my feet. So much excitement for the years to come, all this playing and creating and pretending. I still never felt like I belonged though. Quietly thinking, have they made some kind of mistake? Because how is someone who talks like me ever meant to work at the Nash or the RSC? And how am I meant to take part in all those post-show intellectual conversations over drinks about the bloody nuances of the play and the schmoozing and the drinks and the clicks and... And I blinked and it was all over. And I very quickly realised that those 3 years did fuck all in preparing me for what I was about to encounter. Then, ready to dim the bright ones and ugly the pretty. Except older this time, more hateful, more competitive. I felt it again. The hot, the breathing, the fear. See, I've always had this ability to listen and just pretend. But as the heat rose and the chest locked, I just stopped pretending. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pretend like I didn't know what they were saying. I couldn't pretend that I liked them. I couldn't pretend that I was okay. And in that moment, I felt free. As I picked my nail varnish and reapplied my face, I realised that I had let them rule my life for far too long. And just like that, they disappeared. Funny that. I walked out and I carried on walking, and this time my strut didn't falter. And I found myself back where I started. Home. Rainham. I guess sometimes you need to leave to realise where you belong. Do you know what I mean?
Lucy's reading book is in her bag, Mrs. Brown, okay? Oh, Vinny's dad, sorry. He fell over today, he grazed his knee, but he was a brave boy. Oh, what a day. Another busy day in the classroom. Wow, look at me, a teacher. A girl from Rainham becomes a teacher. Who would have thought it? Ironic, really, because many years ago I cried every day not wanting to go into school. And now, 47 years later, you can't get me out of it. Wasn't my dream to be a teacher, to be honest. University and all that? No, couldn't do that. A nursery nurse. That was my dream. Ever since my teenage years, I dreamed of becoming a nursery nurse. Careers officer at school said think of something else in case you don't get into college. Something else? I don't want to be anything else. Must have been all those years playing in the street, looking after the young ones. Well, didn't start out like that. Of course, you had to work your way through the ranks of the street kids. First, I was the youngest, being looked after by the big boys and girls, the ones who used naughty, don't tell your mum words and wore makeup. I loved them. The ones who taught us to knock on doors and run away before the owners answered. French skipping and playing Kirby with a ball until it went into Mrs. Grumpy's garden. Not her real name, but you never saw your ball again and she would always shout at us. Oh, sorry, the phone's ringing. Hang on there. Hello? Dad? Sorry, he's hard of hearing. Yeah, it's me. You've lost what? The key? It's in the door. No, the door. Is it in the door? Oh, that's good. At least you found it. Better go, Dad. Bye. Bye. Sorry, that was my dad. 91. Rainham, born and bred, just like me. Now, where was I? Ah, yeah. Back to growing up in Rainham. 1, 2, 3 in the den. Now, that was not a game for the faint-hearted. Running across the road to reach home as fast as your legs could carry you. Not so good when you only have little legs like me, but prayed that one of the bigger kids would save me. We would play in the street until it started to get dark. This is when the big kids would start to tell scary stories. Didn't really like these tales, but as one of the street kids, I felt compelled to stay. Called in for dinner and then back out to join the ranks again. Except Timmy. Timmy brought his cucumber sandwiches out to play with him. Grubby from his dirty hands, but he loved them. Then the day came when I was the older one, keeping all the younger ones entertained. Loved it. Mum would laugh when the group of little kids would knock for me, the teenager to come out to play. Of course we played schools, and yes, I was the teacher. We continued to play the games I'd been taught in the street, although more cars on the road made Kirby less fun. Then was my time to graduate from the street kids, to go to college to train to be a nursery nurse. My dream fulfilled until I worked in a school. I worked with an amazing teacher, and in her absence, I took the class one day, and then other days in charge followed. My goodness, I can do this. I can lead a class. I could be a teacher. University. Attend a real university. Could a girl from a working class Rainham family really succeed at university? No uni fees to be paid, not like today. How could a Rainham student afford those extortionate fees today? Anyway, fill in the form, post it, and fingers crossed. Can't believe it. The university has only gone and said yes. I'm in. I'm going to university for 4 years to do a degree. A Bachelor of Education. Now let me say that again. A Bachelor of Education. 4 years of hard study fly by, and there I stand in my cap and gown. I've only gone and done it. I'm a teacher. A real blooming teacher. 25 years later and still in the profession, teaching children from working class families like me to believe that they too can go on to do great things. Sadly, society has changed so much that no longer do we see kids spending long hours playing in the street learning from others like we did. And sadly, Mrs. Grumpy has passed away, probably buried with all our balls. But still, my family live in the same street. So no, it's not just Rainham. It's my home, where I built my foundations for life.
diary, universe, God, please can I be the best beautician? Please can I lash perfectly? Please can my clients all leave happy? Also, while I think of it, please can I be skinny? I wouldn't mind winning the lotto either. Away from my pad and my pen, I'm employed by a beauty salon. I feel everything so fully. I have a mountain of pressure on my shoulders every day to be good enough for my clients. I carry sick bags around with me every day because the thought of doing a bad job makes me want to vomit. I mean, I am grateful as I love my job. However, I wouldn't describe myself as flowing freely through life. One day, in amongst the heavy, thick pressure of my mind, my phone goes off.
Come on, it's time for you to start working for yourself. I've heard about you from clients and I would love you to rent my upstairs room and start making your own money.
I'll come see it, I guess. Inside, I feel like I am dying. I didn't realise this at the time, but I was. These old fears and worries that consumed much of my life literally died inside of me the moment I decided not to listen to them anymore. In replacement of this dying fear, new parts are born. Confident, happy, loving parts. Sometimes our brain can only measure what we lose from changing our life and not what we will gain after we take that jump. But enough of that physiological stuff and back to the story. Before this change inside me happened, all of my fears popped up. What could go wrong? Am I good enough? Blah, 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 blah. Typical brain lies we tell ourselves. But in and amongst this, an encouraging voice also said, don't think, just do it. And I go with that one and I take on the salon. Me, Holly Sheen, age 19, has her own salon. My phone never stopped pinging after that message from Shane. Messages of well wishes, thank yous and top rating reviews streamed to my phone daily after that. My heart quite literally throbs when I think about it, how blessed I am to have my clients. They feel like family to me. I generally love each and every one of them. From my ladies who let everyone know about their salon on their morning train to work, to the ones I sit and dance with while lashing, even my fussy clients who I have to allocate more time with, as I know their expectation of my work is never just a quick glance in the mirror. You lot keep me on my toes, and it always makes me strive to improve my skills. Life advice, laughter and a safe place to be free. It's not just about the beauty treatment, it's a true connection with each person that enters the salon. The world needs more positivity and I feel we create that together, one lash at a time. I'm forever thankful and grateful for the new and old clients I have gained throughout my career. I wouldn't have enjoyed my life as much without you. Over the course of the next 5 years, I have gained so much joy over the unfolding process of owning and growing my business. Even the bits that felt way out of my depth, like tax returns, becoming a boss, and creating a lash academy. This space is so special to me. From the most amazing people I get the pleasure of meeting, to the natural and organic growth I now have inside myself from leaving the comforts of security. I look back to my past once for my journal extracts and realise that a past version of me only ever wanted what I have now. So for every uncomfortable thing I had to feel and go through to get where I am, for every moment that I felt way out of my depth, I kept going anyway. And it was all worth it. It was all needed, and it has shown me that anything is possible if we just have to show up for ourselves in each moment and embrace the unknown. So, dear diary, universe, God, I would like to thank you deeply for your assistance and guidance on this amazing journey I've been on. Let's make some more magic. May each client leave feeling happier than when they entered. Let's make this next chapter of business epic. Lots of love, Holly Sheen.
In a village called Rainham, in the art of the village centre, next to Rainham Hall and opposite Rainham Library and Phoenix Pub, there's a small reptile shop called Cold Blooded. So I visited the shop for the first time in 10 years, and walking through that door, it still had the same smell of damp wood. But it had changed a lot. There used to be all sorts of exotic animals, such as the alligators, kimono dragons, and a snapping turtle. But they had all been relocated to a store they planned to open in Upminster. You walk in and the place feels so cramped, like you have to keep your guard at all times. Even when the creepy crawlies are in the tanks, you can't help but think one might hitch right on your back as you leave the shop. But they still had all sorts of pets. Snakes, lizards, tortoises, toads and frogs, and many insects such as locusts, crickets and mealworms to feed them with. It's so weird to see that display of live insects on the wall. You wouldn't want any kind of earthquake to happen, that's for sure. There's a giant spider they have on the counter in the tank. It's one of them Borough spiders. I saw it with his back legs buried and his whole body up against the glass. Pictures on show. It gave me the creeps. Tarantulas. Who wants a spider as a pet? So I inherited my fear of insects and spiders from my mum. If I were to get a reptile pet, it wouldn't be a toad or an insect or a spider. Maybe a snake. Oh, but Mum wouldn't like the idea of keeping a dead mice in the freezer. When I was a kid, I had a pet lizard. He was a bearded dragon called Yogi. I don't have many memories of Yogi, but I do remember this. It was early morning on a weekend, and once a week I would treat Yogi to his favourite, crickets. Mum wouldn't allow the crickets in the main tank, so we had to feed him in a special plastic tank. One day, Yogi wasn't hungry. One got out. One pounced at the tub, Mum screamed, panicking, and I was panicking because she was panicking. She grabbed the broom, ready to trash the kitchen, then we woke the beast. Oh, not Yogi, my 9-year-old sister. If anyone was to tell me what was the most dangerous animal on earth, I wouldn't say a shark or a crocodile or even a box jellyfish. I would say my stroppy now teenage sister. She burst open her bedroom door, crashed her way down the stairs and made her way into the kitchen. She shouted at us for waking her. She saw the cricket on the table and in anger, whacked it with her fist. I can still picture the green mushy paste staining the kitchen counter.
Risha Dami, the youngest of the squad of 11 siblings growing up in Birmingham. Spoilt rotten by my older brothers and sisters, enjoying rounders at the park opposite our house. A carefree life without a single worry in the world. I then got married in 1984 and moved to a village called Rainham, a small knit community with lovely local shops and very friendly people. Rainham Village had everything we needed, with its own banks and churches and wow, so much greenery. Coming from the big buzzing city of Birmingham, Rainham felt much quieter. For me, it was tradition for a husband's wife to join his family, so I moved in with my husband's parents. It was so beautiful to extend our circle, especially coming from such a big loving family. I never felt alone, especially as my husband and his mum and dad always took care of me. It was so nice to spend time with his 3 sisters, who at the time all attended the Chafford School. They contributed massively to the jolly atmosphere and always made me laugh. I didn't travel back to Birmingham much, as my family were a 3-hour car ride away, so I was grateful for the company of my husband's family. 2 years into our marriage and our first baby was on its way. We had a beautiful baby girl, and little did we know how clever and amazing she would grow up to be. Followed by 2 more beautiful baby girls, and they were all the apples of our eyes. Fast forward 15 years to 1999. I was desperate to do something different, as I was getting tired of doing all the factory work from home. And at the same time, I was working the weekend markets with my husband. The markets were amazing, buzzing with fun and laughter, and we would work in all kinds of weather, come rain or shine, meeting people from all walks of life. But the time had come for me to better my life, as I'd always been business minded. This is when I met Ritu, a girl from India. She was the daughter-in-law of the people we bought stock from. I started taking Ritu to work with me and she soon got a job in Lakeside. But Ritu and I both decided that it was time for us to do a course. So we both agreed on a beauty course. Going back to college after 20 years was very frightening, and Ritu and I were so glad that we found each other. As we walked in on our first day wearing our white outfits with about 20 other students in the class, we were so excited. As we settled into class, we used to practice on each other, which was so much fun, and we both passed the course with flying colours and achieved great results. It was years of hard work, but it was definitely worth it. Afterwards, I was so excited that I converted our garden shed into my very own beauty room. It started off with just a few clients, but slowly built its way up into a little business. I was very proud of myself. I used to love giving my clients facials with the sweet smells and aromas of all the creams that help them relax. But as we were living with my husband's parents, it got a little bit awkward, so I had to put my business on pause. Fast forward 10 years to 2009. By this time, we'd bought our own house as the kids were getting older and needed their own space. But we did buy a house near mum and dad so we could check in on them every day. And I started up my beauty business again. It started off by just going to a few sheltered homes and care homes, but it worked its way up and now I have a busy business.